Good morning, guys. It is Sunday, uh, July the 18th. I'm Kyle Knight. Welcome to another special edition of the All Night Show. I'm going to call this the first Christian-agorist Church of Liberty Sunday morning broadcast. Because I do believe that the man I follow, Jesus Christ. I believe he was an early anarchist, voluntarist. I mean, he talks about it all the time, and I believe a lot of his words have been twisted by man in the past, and definitely the state and the church, who I kind of believe are the same thing, really. One just kind of preceded the other, and then they were supposed to be separate, in this country, but anywho, you know, they um they use it as control mechanisms. But I believe a lot of what Jesus had to say was he was preaching against the Roman. You got to think about when Jesus walked on the earth. It was during the Roman Empire, and if you know anything about that, there's a lot of similarities between the Roman Empire, what they had going on, what they started enforcing, allowing on their citizens, and what it ultimately led to its own demise. And so I've got a little something I want to talk to you about. I think a lot of folks might be familiar with these verses. I know I am, being from the South. Um, I've been told these words many a times in the church on the reasons why you should tie to the church and why you should pay your taxes to your country. And we're going to discuss that for just a little bit. And just by the way, today the Bible I'll be reading out of is an NLT version, New Living Testament version. And it's a study Bible, so it has some notes on what whoever printed this thought the meaning of the words meant. That's kind of one of the things I always have a problem with, is people always try to tell you how you should interpret these words, and I think you got to do that for yourself. But anyways, let's dive into it. We're going to start out in Matthew 15, if you know what I'm talking about. Um, we're gonna read from three of Jesus's disciples, and we're gonna start out with Matthew. We're gonna see what they have to say. Matthew says in 15, then the Pharisees met together to plot how to trap Jesus into saying something for which he could be arrested. They sent some of their disciples, along with the supporters of Herod, to meet with him. Teacher, they said, we know how honest you are. You teach the way of God truthfully. You are impartial and don't play favorites. Now tell us what you think about this. Is it right to pay taxes to Caesar or not? But Jesus, smart guy, knew their evil motives. You hypocrites, he said. Why are you trying to trap me? Here, show me the coin used for the tax. When they handed him a Roman coin, he asked, whose picture and title are stamped on it? Caesar's, they replied. Well then, he said, give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and give to God what belongs to God. His reply amazed them, and they went away. And again, I want to give a little context, what's kind of going on here if you didn't pick up on it, before we get into Mark. And in Mark, it starts with Mark 13. From what I gather is going on here, the trying to trap Jesus, because he's out there preaching this word that goes against everything that they believe in. And that's why I believe Jesus was an anarchist. He was telling the people that you don't have to pay all your taxes to this so-called place because they were appointed by God. That's nonsense. Your relationship with God is between you and God. It's fine if you want to support that. If you believe in that, that's fine, but you shouldn't be forced to do it. I think that's what Jesus was trying to say, and of course, it led to him being crucified. Kind of like what they do with uh, online content now, content creators. But anyways, let's get into Mark. Well, I said I was going to give a context. They're chasing him, trying to trap him to, with something that they can arrest him for. And, he basically says, well, give to Caesar what's Caesar's, give to God what is God. That way, he's not offending his followers who believe that they shouldn't have to go through, bow down to Caesar and to give most of what they earn to Caesar. He's trying not to offend them, but at the same time, he's not incriminating himself by saying, no, you shouldn't pay your taxes. He's a pretty clever guy. But let's get into Mark. Mark's account is, later the leaders sent Pharisees and supporters of Herod to trap Jesus into saying something for which he could be arrested. Teacher, they said, we know how honest you are. You are impartial and don't play favorites. You teach the way of God truthfully. Now tell us, is it right to pay taxes to Caesar or not? Should we pay them or shouldn't we? Jesus saw through the hypocrisy and said, why are you trying to trap me? Show me a Roman coin and I'll tell you. When they handed it to him, he asked, whose picture and title are stamped on it? Caesar's, they replied. Well then, Jesus said, give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and give to God what belongs to God. His reply completely amazed them. Alright, now we're in Luke, and I like Luke's take the best on it, and we're gonna get into this. Alright, Luke 20. Luke 20:20. Isn't that kind of ironic? We're gonna see why here in a second. Alright, watching for their opportunity, the leaders sent spies, pretending to be honest men. They tried to get Jesus to say something that could be reported to the Roman governor. See, Luke's getting a little more clear on what he's meaning here. So he could arrest Jesus. Teacher, they said, we know that you speak and teach what is right and are not influenced by what others think. You teach the way of God, truthfully. Now tell us, is it right for us to pay taxes to Caesar or not? He saw through the trickery and said, show me a Roman coin, whose picture and title are stamped on it. Caesar's, they replied. Well then, he said, give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and give to God what belongs to God. This is important right here. So they failed to trap him by what he said in front of the people. Instead, they were amazed by his answer, and they became silent. Alright, so basically, from what I gather, out of all that, I think I said it a minute ago, he's ultimately a very clever man, and he's in very hospitable environments, dealing with people that want to kill him, lots of people that want to kill him, because he's kind of crushing their whole little paradigm, that they got the people believing in. And so for good reason they want to get rid of this guy. And he's just out there telling the truth and what he believes in. Whether you believe that Jesus was the Son of God or whether he was just a man that was out there preaching what he felt was morally right and wrong. Because that's what he did. uh, they killed him for it. And it kind of rings a lot of bells with what we're dealing with today, and it's kind of coincidental that those last verses of Luke are in Luke 20:20 and 20:21. And you know, I say the word woo woo. This gets a little more woo woo if you let it, but it, like I said, I don't believe that these words were, prophetic and as they were telling us exactly what was happening, but just like a lot of people throughout history have predicted things and at some point they become true, these words can have a lot of meaning in what we're going through right now. So I'm going to continue reading in Luke because this really interested me whenever I was studying up on whether I should pay taxes or not. And by the way, I think Jesus would have told you in the side street, away from the presence of the Roman guards, you don't need to pay your taxes. He said you get away with paying as little as you can, and under the table, peer to peer, you know, just like we do today on the gray black market, we're evil people because we don't want to have to go through the middleman, and we don't think that if I come up with something, grow something on my land, in this little crazy garden that needs weeding, I don't believe that I should have to ask permission to sell it to my neighbor or let alone my family members down the road, That kind of stuff was going on back then and in a more tyrannical way because they were blatantly open with, the punishment. They believed that they demonstrate the punishment openly, then it would help quench the violence or the outrage in the people, which I don't know how well that works. Ultimately, your empire crumbled, and you can say that we're kind of getting a repeat of that today. So I want to read Luke 21. 21:5 is where we're starting out right here. Some of his disciples began talking about the majestic stonework. I think I'm in the right place. Yes, I am. Okay. Some of his disciples began talking about the majestic stonework of the temple and the memorial decorations on the walls. But Jesus said, "The time is coming when all these things will be completely demolished. Not one stone will be left on top of another." "Teacher," they asked, "when will all these things happen? What sign will show us that these things are about to take place?" He replied, "Don't let anyone mislead you, for many will come in my name, claiming I am the Messiah, and saying the time has come, but don't believe them. And when you hear of wars and insurrections, don't panic. Yes, these things must take place first, but the end won't follow immediately." Then, he added, "Nation will go to war against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be great earthquakes, and there will be famines and plagues in many lands, and there will be terrifying things and great miraculous signs from heaven. But before all this occurs, there will be a great time of persecution. You will be dragged into synagogues and prisons, and you will stand trial before kings and governors, because you are my followers. But this will be your opportunity to tell them about me. So don't worry in advance about how to answer the charges against you, for I will give you the right words and such wisdom that none of your opponents will be able to reply or refute you. Even those closest to you, your parents, brothers, relatives, and friends will betray you. They will even kill some of you, and everyone will hate you because you are my followers. But not a hair of your head will perish. By standing firm, you will win your souls. And when you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, then you will know that the time of destruction has arrived. So, that's kind of scary, right? You know what he's talking about there. There's going to be all these plagues, famines, but there's going to be these great miraculous signs from heaven. I mean, that could be cool things, good things happening. They don't have to be bad things. But he also points out that you're gonna feel like the minority. You're gonna feel like the guy that's weird for believing that what you rightfully earned is yours and you shouldn't have to share it. You're going to be the guy that's weird for speaking up against the norm, the mainstream idea of things. You're going to be the guy that people look at crazy whenever you speak about your ideas about maybe this whole climate change thing is just a cosmic pattern that we're experiencing epoch of that. Maybe some of our ancestors experienced the same thing about 13,000 years ago. Shit, we don't know. We can't claim to know all these things, but yet we do, and that's a lot of the problem. And what was trying to point out is, if you know in your heart that you're doing the right thing and you're doing the best that you can for you and your family, then that's all you got to worry about. You ain't got to worry about anybody else. You just worry about providing for you and your family, and everything else is going to be taken care of. And when we get in that mindset, we stop worrying about appealing to other people and what they may think of us. We really begin to bloom and become the people that we're supposed to be, and we become a bright image in the world rather than a fading, just, I don't know, blanket floating through the air that has no life to it. What he always, in a lot of his words, he always, pushed in that sense of believe in yourself and believe in what you've been taught and believe in those core values that he preached on. Don't hurt people, don't take their stuff, love your father, mother, father in the sky, love the earth because you're a part of it. As long as we do those things, life will be fulfilled because that's what life is all about. All this material stuff like this swimming pool, little old trailer here that we live in. I mean, a lot of this food right here, I guess that's probably material because it's bougie stuff. We got our little tomatoes and whatnot we eat whenever we want them. We're not subsisting out of this garden. It's just something that we enjoy doing right here. But it does give us a sense of fulfillment. But all this material stuff, it doesn't give us anything in the long run. You're not putting anything in the long-term savings account whenever you continue to buy new gadgets every week or every month or every year. I'm guilty of it, but once we start focusing on the real things, life, family, your time here on earth, how precious it is, and what you find important and makes your heart get excited, you got to start spending more time on that. And I know it hopefully this is encouraging that you're watching it, but this can't be what gets you exciting. I guess if you're programming, you're making content, cool, yeah, I get exciting talking about this stuff, but Anyways, I hope that y'all enjoyed today's special edition. Maybe I learned a little something. I know I may have a different take on things, but I do believe Jesus was a great anarchist, voluntarist. He preached it and everything he talked about, and maybe we'll dig into a little bit more of that if y'all enjoyed this. Y'all get over. I still got that post up on the MeWe page on the voting for the name of this. I'm kind of digging the all night show. Y'all drop by the website allnighthomestead.com, check it out, and when you're watching this on Odyssey, give it a like, share it with somebody if you found it interesting. And anyways, if not, we'll see y'all next time. Thanks. Take care.